Hey all, welcome to ShareTrack. This is Raj here. And today I decided to make this video again like last time because we are in a critical stage in NASDAQ. We are at the cusp of breaking out of the bear channel, and that tussle has been going on for a few days. Today again we are at the same spot, so I'm going to take a quick look and see what's happening out there. And also we have some news coming up in the last 24 to 48 hours. And what is interesting is that tech sector has not done as well. I'll talk more about this. Let's get started. Welcome back, friends. As I was saying earlier, if you recollect in one of my earlier videos, I had mentioned that the S&P 500 has got most of the companies going up, whereas the laggards are basically the technology sector, which is holding it back. And when we were coming down, technology sector was holding it back and giving us a false sense of security while other shares were dropping. So we had said at that time that it's possible that technology sector has reached the bottom and maybe we are due for a trend reversal. So we have been battling this bear channel resistance for a few days now. Today is one more day. And I wanted to have a quick look at the indices and also the key index movers, which are companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, and have a look at what they are doing and see if they can assist us to break through that bear channel and start something new. If not a bull channel, at least a more superior bear channel where we are moving upwards and then we form a new channel. So that's what I'm looking for. And let's have a quick look at the TradingView platform first, and then we'll come back and talk about the news articles and see how it could affect them. Here we are in the TradingView platform, and I'm looking at the QQQ chart. Each of these candles is a 1 hour candle. And as you can see here, my friends, we have broken above the other bear channel that we had formed, the second bear channel that we had formed. We broke above it yesterday. But today, if you notice, we were not able to go above yesterday's high. Let me mark this quickly as a 282.10 as a support. And we also have another support here, which is holding us for today at 286.35. So I'm going to mark this also green. We opened low and then we went up and then we came back down again. But if you notice, we haven't been able to cross yesterday's high. So that shows some amount of weakness. So there is this struggle going on to move higher and come towards this diagonal, this horizontal fluorescent blue line that I had drawn earlier. If you notice, I have one line down here and one line up here. Both are fluorescent blue. And they represent the range in which we have been moving all the way since 14th of September. We have not gone above it so far. The good news here is that we have gone above this diagonal line of resistance for the bear channel, but we still need to go past this horizontal fluorescent blue line, which has been our consolidation range for QQQ for the longest time. So that's the battle that is going on today. And if we were able to end higher than where we ended yesterday, then that will be a resounding success. But at this point of time, I would take even staying above 286.35 today as a positive. If you can see here, QQQ has lost minus 0.22%. So far as compared to yesterday's close. But the candle is green because we started low and then we went up. That's the reason why the candle is green. Now, if you look at S&P 500, before we go there. Now, if you look at the MACD, it's also bullish, but momentum has become a bit flat and it is sloped downwards. And that's a matter of concern. Even though momentum is high, there is a bit of hesitation out here. Let us go and have a look at our technology companies. If you look at Microsoft has already warned that we are going to have a bit of pullback in earnings, and that has already been telegraphed by Microsoft. So we need to bear that in mind. That could be a reason why you're seeing the share price of Microsoft falling a little bit. But I'm sure that when Microsoft does come out with its earnings, it will definitely do slightly better. So when we come back and have a look in the evening when Microsoft reports, I'm pretty sure that they are not going to be reporting a loss or something like that. It's just that they are not going to meet the market expectation of 2.293 EPS and revenue of 52.987 billion for the Q4 of 2022. That's all it's going to be. And again, this is all a market sentiment issue. I think in this environment, if a company is reporting profits and it's reporting decent returns, that's good in my book. So I don't think Microsoft should fall too much. If you look at Apple now, you can see that Apple has gained 0.88% and it's right now struggling with this resistance at 142.27. MACD is bullish. Momentum is also rearing up. So I'm pretty sure that Apple is going to be able to push forward, and then it will have the next resistance, which is at 146.58. And that will be nice to see. And if you look at Amazon is down minus 0.50%, but there is this big gap down which it needs to fill up. And it's very, very attractive and it could pull it up. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But what we have here is a formation. If this candle ends in red for today, then it's not going to look good. Technically, it will look very weak. And MACD is bullish, but it's tending towards the signal line. Momentum is above average, but it's slowing down. So Amazon doesn't seem to be a great bet. Apple is definitely going to support the index. Google has got some antitrust news coming up, so that's going to dampen. Look at this news item out here. DOJ files second antitrust suit against Google, seeks to break up its ad business. The U.S. Justice Department filed its second antitrust lawsuit against Google to in just over 2 years, this time targeting its advertising business. It's the first Google lawsuit filed under the Biden administration and seeks to break up Google's online advertising business. So this is another overhang on top of Google at this point of time. So that's going to weigh in on Google. So Google is not likely to support as much. And another point that you have to keep in mind is, even though we have a support line out here, the jump in Google has been irregular. So it's not systematic. There's a gap up out here which has to be filled up. So I'm not very optimistic that Google is going to support the index as such. And if you look at Netflix, it's doing pretty well, and it could definitely give a good support. But it's going to cool off a little bit because the RSI is overheated. MACD is still bullish. Everything is going great for Netflix. At one point of time, Netflix was in the dumps. Now it has picked up a lot. It has still got irregular jump out here, gap up. That needs to be filled up. So that will be my only concern. Other than that, it's doing pretty good. So I think that overall, it's still not clear whether we are going to be able to break through and get past that horizontal line, fluorescent line that I had drawn. We might stay range bound. That is my opinion after looking at all this. And if we go and have a look at Bitcoin USD is potentially in a position that it can do a trend reversal. But if I look at the MACD is still bullish. And momentum shows that the RSI is overheated, and that's the reason why I would give benefit of doubt to Bitcoin, that it's going to consolidate a little bit before moving up further and going ahead to challenge the minor resistance, which is at 24,238. So that's what I'm expecting for Bitcoin. And if we were to look at gold is on a tear. It's raising like anything, and it's got bullish MACD, but it's tending towards the signal line. RSI is overheated, so there could be a bit of consolidation and a cooling off for gold, maybe moving sidewards and consolidating for the next few days. But gold has done pretty well, and it's gone all the way up from 1630.47 on 3rd of November. All the way to 1935.48 at this point of time, which, if I was to put in a perspective, is going in from here all the way to 1935. So that's a jump of around almost 20% jump in the price of gold. So things are coming back. And if you look at Coinbase, it usually writes the fortunes of Bitcoin. Coinbase, which had been falling below, has also started recovering. So if you were to take a look at all the stocks so far, they have been rallying for quite a while stealthily, but it's the big index movers which camouflage all these moves. These are the four major companies Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Netflix. These are the ones that are kind of distorting the view for us and making us feel that things are good when many components of the market are going down, and making us feel that things are bad when many components of the market are going up, because they're a bit slow to turn around. So that's what is happening out there. And if I was to go into genomics and just sort this out to get the winners on the top, we have Allogene doing extremely well. It's gone above the support line. It's growing up very well. MACD is bullish. Momentum is also pretty good. Plenty of room for the RSI for Allogene to go further. Let us see if it has got any new news. 2 hours ago, there was a news. Allogene stock rises 15% as JP Morgan upgrades on near-term catalysts. Allogene Therapeutics rose 14% on Tuesday after JP Morgan upgraded the shares to overweight from neutral with a price target of 11 from 20. Based on fundamentals and near-term catalysts. So basically, they are taking the price target to 20 from 11. The SA quant rating for Allo is hold, which is in contrast to the average Wall Street rating of buy. JP Morgan noted that it upgraded Allo based on discussions with management over the past several weeks. The upgrade was a valuation call driven by upside from the current level, as the JPMC views a healthy strategic shift happening behind the scenes to place more focus on the lead CD19 franchise. Let us go to Allogene. This is a CD19 Allo 501A. It says the industry's first allogenic CAR-T Phase 2 trial, Allo 501A alpha Phase 2 study targeting CD19 in relapsed or refractory non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Now, this particular area of cancer has been extensively covered by a lot of genomic companies and molecule companies. So there is a lot of competition in this area, but still getting approval for Alpha 2, which is the trial name, if it succeeds, then Allo 501A could become a therapy that can be marketed by Allogene, and that will potentially be their first product, if I'm not mistaken. History of CAR-T, availability on demand, etc., etc. Okay, that is clinical trial, expanded access, scientific. So that will be potentially their first approved therapy. So that's a really good sign, and that's the reason why Allogene is jumping up today. So probably JP Morgan would have got some access to positive test results and great optimism from the management that FDA is most likely to approve the therapy, and that's the reason why you see this 13.70% jump. And any good news from a company in our genomic watch list is going to help all the others by improving the sentiment in genomics. Next, let us look at Editas, which is up 6.30%, a big jump today. Let us see if there is any news. There is no new news today. Then Shoreline Biosciences to acquire Editas, INK cell franchise and related gene editing technologies. They had already mentioned they wanted to sell it. So that's not new, just they will get some cash, and that could be the optimism out there. Let us look at Intelia. Intelia is also up 3 days in a row, and this again is a morning star. It has turned around. There's a trend reversal out here. I hope the trend reversal maintains and we go all the way to 43.64. Momentum is just above average, just about peaking, and we have MACD, which is also bullish, so it's looking good at this point of time. And if I was to look at the news items to see, 5 days ago, JP Morgan downgrades Intelia Therapeutics on lack of 2023 clinical updates. I had mentioned that about most of our genomic companies, there are not much updates. Bluebird is up 4.60% today, and it has broken past this line of resistance at 6.44, so I'm going to mark it as support. And MACD is still bearish, and momentum still needs a long way to go. Let us look at the news items here. Let us see if there is anything new about marketing. No, except for the new equity issue, there is nothing new. Caribou Biosciences up 3.10%. I recently did a video on Caribou Biosciences. We have a trend reversal here, but we need to break through this diagonal, and I had mentioned that we may probably have to cross it at 7.03 in the next few days. So it could be 7.12, I suppose, because today we had a healthy jump. So I'm expecting that day after tomorrow we might reach there, and that will be 7.05 to 7.10. MACD is looking bullish. Momentum still has a long way to go. It's still below average. It needs to pick up for Caribou to make any further progress. CRISPR Therapeutics is up 1.06%. In the process, it has broken through this horizontal line of resistance, which happens to be at 50.83. So I'm going to mark that into a line of support. And our next resistance, where we are struggling right now, is at 52.13. So that's holding us back. If we break through that, then we can aim to go further up. Right now, everything is looking conducive. MACD is bullish and momentum is also above average. It just has got plenty of room for the RSI to move up. So hoping for the best for CRISPR Therapeutics. Let us just quickly check if there is any news items out here. January 3, CRISPR, ARCT and CRIS are among after our movers. No, that doesn't make much for us. Let us look at Beam Therapeutics. It was up 1.05%. And it's converted this diagonal line of resistance into a diagonal line of support, I would say, because we are moving this way. And I'm going to draw for some good measure. I'm going to draw a diagonal channel out here, which I'm going to call a potential bull channel. And that's going to provide us support on our way up. That's my opinion because MACD is bullish and also momentum is above average. Momentum just needs to pick up and that will automatically resolve the MACD and make the MACD push away from the signal line and continue to be bullish. Now, if we have to look at IMATIX, it's down 0.72% and I don't think there is any new news on IMATIX. And momentum is also low, so it doesn't look great on the charts at this point of time. SQZ Biotech is up 0.21%. It's just consolidating in the last 3 or 4 days. MACD is bullish, but the signal line is coming closer and closer to MACD, and MACD may turn to the bearish side very soon because our momentum is still very low. It's not as low as it had been, but it's within the civilization zone, as I call, between 30 and 70, but very close to 30. This has to improve for any reliable movement in SQZ Biotech. Verve is down 0.09%. It's being pushed down by this resistance at 22.47. Right now we are at 22.58. Let's wait for until the end of the day to see if we are able to clear through. Illumina is down minus 0.92%. And if we were to look at the news to see if there is anything else, it says January 11 market chatter, Illumina likely to face EU fine of 10% of annual turnover over Grail acquisition. I had already made a video about this, so there is no new news out here. And if you were to look at ARCG, ARCG is down 1.08%, but we don't generally talk about ARCG. Let's look at Invitae. It's down to 1.65%, and it's getting support from this horizontal line of support. And I'm going to mark that as a support out here because earlier it was a resistance. So 2.56. So we have formed a handle for Invitae. So I'm going to call that Invitae is going to aim for 3.29, which is the target for Invitae. And there's a good chance that it may happen. The only concern I have is that the momentum has fallen a little bit, even though it's above average. I need the momentum to turn around. Maybe it's consolidating a little bit, but there is room for RSI to move upwards. And as long as the momentum continues to move up, we still have a good chance of meeting our target of 3.20 for the cup and handle pattern. So that's what I have for Invitae. DNA is down 3.26%, and we have the support at 1.82 being converted into a resistance thanks to the move today by the share. And this indicates that the share is a bit weak. The momentum is falling just closer to 50%. Soon it will be below average. MACD is moving towards the signal line to cross over into the bearish side. Let me look at the news sector update. There is nothing out here. 5 days ago, there is nothing new out here. But basically, there is a lot of insider shares in DNA, and insiders are likely to sell as and when the share price goes up. And I'm still trying to find out a bottom and a top within which this is going to consolidate, because logically that's what is likely to happen. Whenever the share reaches a particular high, insiders will sell to liquidate their positions because that's part of their remunerations and they need it for their own household. So that's the only overhang for DNA. Otherwise, I'm really impressed with the company and its products and the way it's expanding its geosecurity business, and also it's getting into discovery. So everything is good for DNA. Insider sales is what is killing it. Another thing I want to see them do is either come out and say that they have already acquired synergies of operation after acquiring so many companies, or they should at least say that we are starting to work on rationalizing the organization structure and the capital allocation and capital assets in order to realize synergy among all the acquisitions that we have done and to streamline the operation. None of those communications have come out yet, and that's the only thing that's concerning me. If that happens, I think the share price can move up pretty well. PSEB is down 3.84%, and I think this is a false alarm based on the miss on sales for Q4 2022. We should remember that we were in a very difficult situation in 2022. Many companies, technology companies also for that matter, had shelved expansion plans and had shelved any extra hiring and all those things. So that is the kind of an environment in which we were operating in Q4 2022. And as such, since PSEB was bringing new model, Revio and Osno, many of their clients would have held back on buying Sequel 2 and Sequel 2E systems, hoping to get a better system. And of course, Revio orders have exceeded expectations. They sold 76 Revio. And I think in January first quarter, we'll have more sales of Osno as well. So the company will do well. There is nothing wrong. I think this is a false alarm. The only concern I have with Pacific Bio is if you look at price to sales, because this is not yet a profitable company. If you look at price to sales and compare it with industry peers, it is quite high that way. And that's the reason why I would be concerned. But on the other side, you can say that the company is dynamic and it has shown great credentials. That's why it's being valued higher than its peer group in such difficult situations. So you can read it both ways. So I'm personally bullish on Pacific Bio. If you look at Bionano Genomics, it's down 4.17%. Of course, we don't cover Bionano Genomics on an ongoing basis, so I'm not going into depths on this one. Now, there are a few interesting things that have happened in the market. Let us first talk about the glitch in the opening of NASDAQ. There were a few companies that opened very erratically this morning when NASDAQ opened. Walmart was one of the companies which opened very high and then dropped immediately. And then we had another lesser known company called Mosaic, which opened very low and then shot back up. So it seems that all the initial orders that were accumulated before market open did not find their way into getting offset against each other, and as a result of which there is a problem. I think NASDAQ is investigating this issue, and very soon we'll get to know what's happening on that account. Other companies that were affected were Exxon and Wells Fargo. I don't know how many other companies are there, but these are the few names that I picked up. Next, I saw an interview of the CEO of Union Pacific, and he was asked about the economy, etc. Their company had reported a drop in Q4 2022 earnings, and the CEO was of the opinion that the consumer has got a lot of money in their pockets, but the raise in interest rates is causing a very interesting situation where on the housing sector there's a problem. At the same time, the consumption is not dropping as fast as it should. So that's the reason why the inflation is dropping slowly. So that was one of the points I picked up. And the other point I picked up is that it seems that Union Pacific is seeing that the supply chain is still in a flux, the resolution of where to source everything from, and therefore they don't have a clearer idea, but they are now able to get containers that can go deeper into the country instead of the earlier situation when there was a container shortage. So things are improving on the supply chain front in terms of logistics. And at the same time, he also mentioned that in the Q4, it was kind of easy for them to get people to fill up all the spots. So the labor situation for them, even for difficult to acquire kind of talent, was not that difficult. So overall, it's a mixed message that is coming around. And the economy is like a very big ship. And I also think that there is a lot of money sitting around, possibly either in cash or possibly in fixed income instruments, because the interest rate is so high. If you can get around 4% or 4.25% very safely without taking any risk, why not do that? So there might be a lot of money sitting in that side. But at the same time, the new trend is that money is starting to come into the technology sector, and a bit of a risk-on activity is being seen. How long that will happen depends on whether we are able to pierce the higher end of the bear channel that we saw on NASDAQ. So if we have got a more risk-on appetite, then we'll pierce through that and we'll move up, and we'll be risk on. But that doesn't mean that it is smooth sailing all the way up. We still have the diagonal, the horizontal fluorescent line that I showed you, which is going to be the range bound movement that we have seen earlier. So we have to break past that also in order to get a clear idea that we are in a bull channel. And that doesn't seem to be very easy. So we'll have to watch this again. Potentially, I may probably come back to you with another video like this tomorrow as we watch this closely. So right now, it's very difficult to say which way it's going, but some of the moves are quite encouraging. And also the strength of Bitcoin, sustained strength of Bitcoin also looks pretty good. So let us see what happens tomorrow. But this is where I'm leaving it right now. And the time right now is 2:32 p.m. on 24th of January. So it's more or less a midday kind of a review. I'm going to put this out right away. Thanks and have a great day, guys. Bye for now.